some really bad economic news. At the end of the fiscal year yesterday, and allegedly accounts are being settled. Harley Schlanger, the spokesperson for Lyndon LaRouche, will join us in the second round of the broadcast today to paint a picture of doom and gloom that is not going to sit easy with any of us. John Stokes is with us on the air today of KGEZ, and your website, John, so people can listen to all the shows, I guess, that are still over there.
Z600.com.
Z600.com. We are twisting John Stokes' arm to join us here at American Freedom Radio, and I hope we can get that done. John, I want to play this clip for you. This is pretty hairy stuff. Ron Paul, who's generally a voice of reason, warning of a dollar crash, violence, de facto state, secessions. Let me get your take on this when it's over.
What happens when Israel strikes?
Warning. Glenn Beck.
Or Iran has the Earth raise, and we know that they now have a nuclear weapon. What happens to our financial system at that point?
Well, I think the Chinese take over. If there's a real panic and oil shoots up to a couple $100, the Chinese will dump their dollars. Chinese are maneuvering for this. The more we threaten Iran, the stronger the Chinese influence gets, because they're using the dollars that they have earned from us and saved. They have $1 trillion, and they're starting to buy up assets in Iran and build plants and get involved in their energy. So the whole thing is backfiring on us. We're getting ready to put tougher sanctions on the Iranians, and that will make things that much worse. It won't help the dissidents in Iran. It's going to cost us a lot of money, and there will be a bombing, and that will be a big event. I think it'll crash the dollar is what I think it would do.
There won't be a bombing.
What does America look like after a crashed dollar?
And not like it looks today. We think it was bad with the financial crisis. When you have a dollar crisis, the whole thing quits functioning. The checks bounce. Literally, the federal government's checks bounce. If you have
Wait. Does that mean that all of your friends in Washington then just go away?
Yeah, that might be a good part of it.
That might be a good idea. Let's say we crash the dollar today. If that's
then the shadow government can take over.
I think we're going to have a de facto 10th Amendment and secession. People are just going to ignore the federal government because they won't. And there's a total loss of credibility.
John, Congressman Paul, the media and even now Patrick Kennedy said this. We heard this from two people, Muammar Gaddafi and I believe the other one was Ahmadinejad, that both spoke last week, and we're hearing it all the time, that there's going to be violence here in America, that people are targeting. Basically, everyone is going to blame this on the right, any kind of violence. They're setting up any violence on those who are from the right or, from the Tea Party movement. Are you concerned about this and what is happening in Washington, where Nancy Pelosi comes out and says, she starts to cry and says that she's seen it before and we're going to see it again?
I think there will be violence. I hope we don't have to go through a very violent period of time, but that's what happens too often. When the government runs out of money and runs out of wealth, the people argue over, a shrinking pie. And, of course, the people who have to produce are sick and tired of producing.
But I think what they're saying is that there would be violence would come first.
I think it'll come after a dollar crisis. I think you're always going to have some violence, but, I lived through the 60s, and I was in the military during that time, and I know the 60s were very rough, and there was a lot of violence there. I don't think next month we're going to have anything like the violence we had in the 60s.
Well, and of course, there you hear Glenn Beck really trying to get the people out there and get them violent because he knows exactly how that's going to turn out. But interesting concept there that China pulls its financial support. It's not just China, of course. It's England and Saudi Arabia and some other heavyweight buyers of our debt. John, and maybe when the dollar shows signs where it can't recover, they pull the rug out from underneath us, and what do we get? Well, de facto secessions, according to Ron Paul.
Yeah, I heard that. That was very painful having to listen to Glenn Beck, though. I mean, I've never listened to his show at all. The dollar has crashed. I mean, and it's just Americans are just the last to know it. no one's buying our debt anymore. Every time they do these treasury auctions of $80 billion, I think it was 2 weeks ago, they did $180 billion in 3 days, and there wasn't one buyer except the printing press.
I have a couple of other clips here. I don't know if we're going to have time to play these now, but here is the Memory Hole channel. I guess some people refer to it as the History Channel. They're doing, what if we get nuked? And they put this whole kind of fake scenario together that Washington, D.C. is going to get nuked. Day After Disaster, it's called. And then next year, the remake of Red Dawn is coming out. This time, the Chinese are bombing us and attacking us. I love the footage. You got to go see this. We have it up at deadlinelive.info, as well as that last clip you just heard, folks. And you go look at the... looks like a pretty cool movie, I got to say. What are people doing? Are they calling 911 when the Chinese bombers start bombing their plush little neighborhoods? No, they go for their guns. Good thing they still have them.
Well, we've got a lot of resources here in real estate and minerals and stuff and a lot of fresh water, but I don't feel that threatened by the Chinese. All this, I heard the clip about the Chinese going into Iraq and with all their wealth and building things, but that's the same globalists that are in Europe and the same here. They're just that they run the Chinese companies.
Yeah,
it's all the same.
As you just heard in that clip, I mean, people are beginning to wake up. They understand kind of who these overlords are now, more than I think ever before. As long as I've been alive, John, you see them having tea parties and stuff, though this is generally kind of the joiners, okay? They're not officially awake, per se. They're probably still all listening to Glenn Geck. And then you had a guy today in Turkey, took off his shoe and threw it at the IMF president.
I think that should happen more often. It's an ultimate insult in that part of the country. And
release the shoes.
You might find something on the bottom of them around here in Montana.
Hey, it makes a good case for wearing steel-toed boots to political events, man.
It certainly does. And I thank you for that kind invitation to join your network. That would be quite an honor, and we'll see what we can do to work that out.
Yeah, I'd love you to be up in front of me. We're rearranging the schedule. I know some of you have been listening to Sam Spade over there, who I think is really coming along and doing a good job. We're just trying to get everything together, and you're just the guy we were looking for to lead us in, man. So I hope we can do something like that. Just again, going around the world, we're going to have an exclusive interview next week in conjunction with Black Box Voting and Bev Harris. The German court has ruled that e-voting is unconstitutional. Guess who gave them that constitution, John?